Hello everyone, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, and I haven't forgotten about making these videos, but I've just had kind of some stuff got in the way, and some stuff I didn't really have any control over, but I'm here back to hopefully finish up this little video series. Really just touring my base, but also all of my other farms that I have on Midgard, or I have built on Midgard thus far. And at this point, I basically covered all there really is to see in my base, though. Well, that's not entirely true because I did a few days ago, I did actually do yet another build. So it's really kind of a smaller one, and if for any of you who are familiar with the game Subnautica, you might be what you're seeing here might ring a few bells. Well, it's kind of hard to see which shaders on. I guess I'll take them off. Yeah, I built basically a replica of the Cyclops. So what's the biggest, what's the biggest of the submarines that you can actually make in Subnautica and actually drive yourself. Those drowns are so annoying. But anyway, really ever since the old server, so on the old server there was kind of this, like, I guess was more of a joke than anything else, where it was like, I think something between like Blue and TK. I forget the details, but back then, TK was very protective of all of the resources that were in the storage room in Atlantis, and like if anybody takes like any he'd notice, like if somebody would take items out of the storage and don't replace them. And I guess largely because of this, let's just say some players, or at least maybe one player in particular, I forget who they were, had the bright idea to take a bunch of the iron out of the storage and decide to build a submarine at one of Blue's bases. Well, Blue had an island base, and they decided to build this submarine out of iron blocks at their base. So it was really nothing special. It was just like one of the most crudely made like submarines you could make. It was just literally like a tube of iron blocks with like a hemisphere at, I think, at like either end of it. I think maybe some effort was made to make it look like a submarine, but it was like very crude. But, largely that kind of, and also the fact that I really play, and I guess also that Subnautica is one of the things that spurred me on to building the space. I really wanted to build, like, some kind of submarine at my base, because I feel like it would be a pretty... I just felt like it would be a cool addition to my base, and because and also because I happen to be really into this game called Subnautica, and it's also part of the inspiration of my base. I thought, why not build, see if I could find a replica of the Cyclops that was built in Minecraft. And I actually found quite a few, though I chose this one because it is actually, like I saw, like, actually a one that was bigger than this one, that actually had more, that I feel actually had better, that, like, the detailing was done better. But the thing was so big that it's like the submarine would be like it would literally go from the surface of the water, like, all the way down to the ocean floor, and it would barely, like, fit entirely underwater. And I didn't really want to have that, and like, if anything, I just wanted the... Well, initially I had a hard time believing that actually was the entire, like how big the Cyclops actually was. And so I decided to actually load up the game and actually kind of see how big the Cyclops actually was, and it's actually... Well, I also looked it up on the wiki, and uh at least the height of it is about 16 meters, or 16 blocks. And and it turns out at least that version of the submarine was actually a larger than... it was actually larger than the real scale. And so, but I was able to find this particular one, and I was able to, and while this one being smaller, doesn't entirely capture the details as much as the bigger one was that I found. I actually think this one actually fits into the deep ocean part of my base, and also I feel like this build suits my base well. And like, I thought about so like, I thought about also doing, like, I thought about it, like, doing like a bunch of other different builds. Like, I thought about this, and I thought about like a naval submarine, and I thought about maybe like some kind of a shipwreck. But I ended up on this because this, I feel like, suits the theme of my base the best. And I gotta say, the creator of this, like, I didn't make this. Someone else made this. And in fact, I actually had to follow I actually had to watch a video to build this because, they didn't provide a world download, but they did provide a step-by-step video of how to actually build this. And I followed that video, and I did it in a creative world out of the water. And then I just pasted it into water, and then I just took a Lightmatic of it underwater. And I ended up just building the outside first. And then I just drained the inside with sponges, and then built the interior last. And I gotta say, this I actually really like how this turned out. And I think it pretty much looks like, at least as close as you can get to how the Cyclops actually looks in Subnautica, at least using just regular, at least in vanilla Minecraft. Though this particular model uses a couple of things that were only possible in Bedrock, the Bedrock edition. Like, for instance, I think it had a few underwater buttons here, which is not possible in Java edition. And the and then the engine room, there was some walls here with buttons on top, which unfortunately is not possible to do in Java, so I had to kind of improvise and use these levers and this chiseled stone brick instead. And I actually still kind of like how it turned out. But overall, I say I'm pretty happy with how how this build actually turned out. But other than that, nothing really has changed. Nothing really much has changed with my base since I started making this video series. Though Rin Elf has been hard at work on my terraforming, and as I've said before, I just can't be happier that they actually that they actually are able to terraform my base. He said, as I've said in the previous, I think in the first video, I've asked probably like a few I've just been asking up and down, and like so far nobody well, it's like everyone was just no, like we can't do it. I don't have the time. And really so far Rin has been the only player who is able to do this for me, which I can't thank them enough. So I've covered the base as well as the storage room and the smelter. And I covered the I think pretty sure I've covered the melon farm and the sugarcane farm. And I'm not positive if I covered the bamboo farm or not. I'm pretty sure I might have covered this already in the video, but and I don't think I've shown it working. But there you go. I say for the rest of my portals, we'll just go through them kind of in order. Well, in order of placement. So this is my Nether base, or at least it's currently work in progress, but it is this mostly serves the function of being a kind of where at least all my Nether specific farms are, but a build that MC Rocks actually inspired me to do actually is the reason why this is now my Nether base. And for those of you who haven't seen the live stream in which me and MC Rocks built this, yeah, we actually did build this on a live stream together. Well, this basically is a build of theirs that they built in the end. That is actually inspired by the YouTuber Smallest Beans, which actually a lot of their build, a lot of their, MC Rocks has taken a lot of their build inspiration from them, and because they showed me their build in the end, and I really thought it was a really cool build, and I thought I thought I could actually make this my another base, or at least the lobby of my Nether base, and so that's what I decided to do. And this is far from complete, but my plan for this is to have tunnels connecting the lobby to every build that I have in the Nether. Which over here is my Wither Skeleton farm. And down in this direction, I have a gold farm that's on the Nether roof. And down here, I currently have a Nether wart farm. And planned but not built yet, I plan to have a smelter. And well, the reason for that, when I already have a smelter in my base, is that smelter is largely designed for because it uses shulker boxes, and also because it uses lava buckets as fuel. It's really only best suited for if you're smelting at least a shulker box at a time. Like what you can smelt less than a shulker box at a time, but you're kind of wasting fuel if you do that. So for that reason, I also want to have a lower volume smelter. And since the Wither Skeleton farm also produces coal. That could also be that would be the perfect opportunity for me to put a smelter here as well. Though really, this base has kind of largely been on the back burner for the past few months. Though I did get this tunnel done, at least from there up to this point. Though I still have until here to build yet, and also, as you can see, I've been kind of battling ghasts here. That's why this carpet is missing. And also, if you saw up here, this here is supposed to be a honey farm, but I have I have no idea why, but there is an so when I first built this farm, it was working, but I was around like this certain update. Like I forget which version it was, but there was basically an update that came that basically broke this farm to where like the bees like would never come out of the hives. But from my understanding, it only broke bee farms in the Nether and in the end. Like overworld bee farms seem to work fine. So I mean, right now it seems like the bees are going in and out of the hives just fine. So I don't know if I put flowers back in there, the farm will start working again. But really largely for like, so one time I actually Just Whiskers looked into this, and they actually did a bunch of different experiments, actually trying to see if bees actually will go in and out of the hive in different biomes. And also, this is why this little chamber is here. But they haven't been able to figure it out. And so to this day, I don't have a working bee farm, unfortunately. And largely the reason why I put it in the Nether is because, at least in vanilla, just vanilla Minecraft, straight up vanilla, a lot of players build their bee farms either in the Nether or in the end, because it's a way of bypassing the whole mechanic about bees, where basically they go to sleep when it's either raining or when the weather is either rainy or thunderstorm. So it's like really the like overworld bee farms only work during the daytime and in clear weather. So it's like building your bee farm, and either in the Nether or in the end, you effectively get in effect get a bee farm that runs 24/7. And so that's largely the reason why my bee farm is here, but it seems like at least End and Nether bee farms, at least on Midgard, because we use paper here. It seems to be broken, unfortunately. So I guess maybe I might just have to put it in the overworld and I guess just live with those drawbacks. But until then, I guess I just have no bee farm, which sucks. But anyway, the wither skeleton farm over here, it's really not that special, as it's really it's a pretty common really it's a design that's commonly in use. That is just using using piglins to lure the to lure the skeletons into the killing chamber. And then this farm is really it's quite fast. I'd say it's literally like almost on par with the community wither skeleton farm. And kind of like a lot of my builds, or at least my older builds, or at least my older farms that were copied from the old server. This farm does have a kind of a sad story behind it. So this actually goes all the way back to not just ACO, but the server but the server before that, or the old server. So sorry for actually saying the name of it out loud, but anyway, so on like the young players server that preceded ACO. There is a long running tradition there where the staff would host wither fights. That like literally as an event that all the players would attend, and they would go to this big arena where withers were summoned, but it was not just withers. It was there were tons of other mobs as was summoned as or spawned in as well, and it was a big event that a lot of players would attend, and it was also a good opportunity for many to get mob heads, and also and they also served as a good opportunity to get or at least they called them shiny mob heads, but over here on Skade we call them Aurora and Shadow mob heads. And at least once those mob heads were added over there, these mob fights or these wither fights were a good way to get those heads as well. And also, I guess for the players who were not brave enough to go to the Nether, farm wither skeleton skulls, and kill their own wither boss to get their own beacon. Uh, those wither fights served as a way for players to get nether stars. And there was this period of time over there where there largely was kind of a lull in the number of wither fights that were hosted. And largely as a result of that, I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to take matters into my own hands and build my own wither skeleton farm and farm my own wither skeleton skulls and host my own wither and host my own wither fights. Well, that server also had like smaller arenas for players to basically host their own fights in, and so really my goal of my main goal of this farm was to have my own way of obtaining beacons, but kind of a secondary, more like bonus goal of this farm is to provide myself with a way of hosting these wither fights myself. And so another so I set out to build this wither skeleton farm that ended up being like, it had to be like probably 3-4 times the size of this farm here. And I believe this farm would have predated these types of wither skeleton farms that use AI, but or that use mob AI, but this wither skeleton farm used flying machines, basically that would sweep across the spawning pads. And then that would sweep the all the mobs into the killing chamber, but this is one of the older, this was like one of the older ways wither skeleton farms were done, and but the thing is more than just wither skeletons were able to spawn in the farm. Like that also, I think also blazes and also magma cubes were able to spawn. And so the farm had to not only deal with the blazes, but also but also large magma cubes, because really any size of magma cube was also able to spawn in the farm. And so not only the farm had to have those flying machines, but also this whole other system to basically reduce the magma cubes down to the baby magma cubes. And then just the baby magma cubes just go into the killing chamber, and they would just drop in along with the wither skeletons, and the blazes would just get automatically killed by a crusher. That was placed so that it would suffocate the blazes, but it would not suffocate the wither skeletons, because the wither skeletons were 3 blocks tall, but the blazes were only 2 blocks tall. And I even, in that farm, I even would include a whole like automatic shut off feature where so if you're a so it's like so how the farm worked is you would go so that the killing chamber basically spans the entire width of the farm, and you would be riding in a minecart. Going back and forth along the width of the killing chamber, and I also so I decided to basically include basically a dead man switch into this farm, to where this minecart track had basically a section of sloped track, to where it's like where it takes advantage of where like minecarts with players in them have more momentum than empty minecarts. So it's like if you're riding in the minecart, it has enough momentum to get up the hill, but if you're out of the but if you're out of if the minecart is empty, it doesn't have enough momentum to get up the hill. And so if you're riding in the minecart, it's able to get up the hill and then ride over a detector rail, and then the detector rail being the main part of the dead man's switch. And so it's basically, if you're in the minecart can traverse the entire length of the minecart track. But if you get out, the minecart can't get up that hill, and thus it can't go over the detector rail, and thus the farm shuts off. But unfortunately for me, that design, or at least the design I went with for that farm, would prove to cause a disaster to happen that would end up in this farm being shut down by the admins, and later on, Ninjago would bribe for the admins to open this farm back up. So what ended up happening was, one day when I was not on the server, I believe at the time, Ninjago, which I think they would have been on the region at the time, they're known as Nin now, but they were Ninjago back then, but like I believe like there was another player that I think would have been on the region at the time, and while I was not online, they let this other player use the farm, and I'm guessing they used the farm at a time when the server had more players active, because usually when I would use this farm, it was on kind of the midnight, like wee morning hours, when there were fewer players on the server, and either that or the farm just was left running for too long, and I guess basically the server started lagging, and I guess the admins found that this farm was responsible for it, and basically the farm got shut down for like probably over a year, or at least several months. And I was none too happy, and Mod Killer was none too happy, and but we eventually were able to gain our access back to the farm, but not until after the server would update from 1.12.2 to 1.14.4, and unfortunately, that update would break the farm because it messed up the region, like to where the farm was no longer in a Nether fortress. It was just in it was just in the Nether, and so blazes and wither skeletons would no longer spawn in that farm. So at that point, it was just reduced down to a gold farm. So with that farm kind of meeting an unfortunate end, I desperately wanted to build another farm to replace it, and largely because of that bad experience, I've largely lost all faith in that server at that point, and so really the next logical thing to do was to build it on to build it on the Big Kids server, or ACO. So I originally I was to do this project solo, but Mod Killer, I guess, was just hell bent on helping me, so he joined in with this project, and unfortunately for me, he ended up starting some drama. Or what, like, it's like, I think it was like we needed to so it's initially we insisted on doing the same thing that I did on that previous Wither Skeleton farm, where so it's like, part of why that farm took so long to make was it I literally cleared, like, basically all of the Nether within, I believe it was 150 blocks of the farm. I literally cleared out from the bedrock ceiling to the bedrock floor, like just completely gotten rid of it. And I was initially assuming that that would be the approach we would take for the farm on ACO, but this ended up stirring up drama because people thought that, oh, we were going to destroy a desert biome, and we are going to destroy a big part of the Nether, and oh my god, or you're gonna lag the server out like crazy, blah blah blah. And so it just kind of largely kind of as a result of that, we just kind of had to press on with this project, but under secrecy. And but instead we ended up going with the approach of, instead of blasting the Nether to Kingdom Come, we would instead use buttons to spawn proof the Nether. And largely because I would have been dealing with other things at the time, Maestro would end up taking this project on, and I think this project actually ended up falling entirely into their lap. And but they did they did successfully complete the farm, and largely through some kind of miraculous events, the farm did end up under my ownership still. And but then the farm team was really skeptical, like, oh, this farm is way too big for a player, blah blah blah. And they, like, and so it's so I guess that there was this big debate within the farm team of whether whether I should be allowed to have a farm that's this efficient or whatever. And then ultimately it was decided that yes, I could keep this farm, but from my understanding, not without a big meeting, like I guess requiring all members of the farm team to give their say. Or at least that's from what I can understand of how it went. And But if nothing else, I was just happy to have, my wither skeleton farm back. But not only have it back, but this, this wither skeleton farm, is way better than, has way better rates than, than the old farm, on the old, the older server, ever had. So it's like I not only got back what I lost so bitterly, but I also got back more than what I had before. So I can't thank my friends Void and Maestro and at least the members of the farm team that worked in my favor enough for that. And though as for the rest of my Nether base, that's basically it for the old server history, and every other part of this base actually at least occurred in the on Skade. But the next major part of this base, at least to come under my ownership, was this gold farm over here. And originally, this gold farm belonged to Void, but from my understanding, because they, due to life, they're not really able to play the Minecraft nearly as much as they used to be able to, and they decided to, give me a few of their I believe they decided to give me this farm and one of their mushroom islands. And I can't thank them enough. And most of the farm is exactly how they gave it to me. But I added on this section, which basically just adds shulker box loading for gravel and for black stone. And I added, and then I added this to the actual killing chamber. I added this this AFK machine, which unfortunately sometimes doesn't work. As you can see, I think you actually saw in the video, sometimes you'd get stuck in this section here and you'd not be moving at all. Which really is not quite ideal, as I want to be able to AFK at this farm for extended periods of time, but I find myself constantly having to fix that AFK machine when it breaks, which is annoying. It's largely kind of limited the usefulness of this farm to me, unfortunately, but I don't really have any other solution other than, I guess, make the AFK machine actually, like 1 block smaller, to where instead of 3x3, it's 2x2. But I'm not exactly sure how to make that work with the farm, because it would actually be off-centered. But I guess I could try at least to make that work, but it would block some of the XP orbs from reaching the player, unfortunately. Well, I forget what originally this was. Though I guess maybe I might have kept a zombie piglin in here. And I guess maybe I might have tried to spawn one in there, and I would have transported this to the gold farm. But I'm not exactly sure. And also, just breaking the bedrock was an interesting endeavor, because it seems like paper disables the glitch that allows you to break bedrock. But at the very least, well, it's technically it's possible to disable the feature of paper that disables that glitch, but from what I've been told by, at least by Alyssa, that basically makes it so that the developers of paper no longer support you using the mod or the plugin. And so largely for that reason, it is decided that they're not just disabling that feature, paper. But at the very least, they are actually offering they actually offered to remove the bedrock for me, which is very nice of them. Or at least Blue did, I think. And yeah. Well, I'm not quite done. Well, I'm not quite done covering the Nether base. There is the Nether wart farm. I eventually plan on having a tunnel to the Nether wart farm as well, but at the moment I just have this little tunnel. And this is supposed to be a fully AFKable Nether wart farm. So how it works is you would be riding back and forth in this minecart, and as you're going through the farm, I believe these are actually on, like these are on pistons. So basically whenever, this pressure plate, gets triggered, these would retract and then extend, effectively harvesting all the nether warts. And then you'd be collecting it and replanting it as you're moving it along in the minecarts. And then just rinse and repeat for every single one of these rows. And then the minecart goes up here and drops down here. And then goes into here. Whereas really it's just held in place until this timer runs through a whole cycle. And then it goes off again. And really the purpose of that is this farm is not actually big enough to where the player can continuously be going through it. And then the nether wart at the very beginning, by the time the player has gone out, the farm is fully grown. And I'm pretty sure the farm team will not allow me to build a nether wart farm that's big enough to facilitate that, and so I opted for this timer instead. It's really just this hopper timer, or this hopper clock, that is sending pulses into basically this piston counter, which is basically just a bunch of sticky pistons, like with repeaters daisy chained into one another. Where the first piston is a monostable, and all these pistons basically spit out their blocks whenever they get a 1-tick pulse. And then it's like whenever the block is up here, the piston just pulls it back in, and then it can't send a pulse forward. But if the block is down, the block goes up here, and then it sends a pulse forward to the next piston. And it's only when all the pistons are down, all the blocks are down in this position, when the pulse can go through the entire thing, and then go to the output. And that is what and then that just sends a pulse to this trapdoor, and then that's what sends the minecart on its way. I actually haven't had to use that farm really yet, but when I do have to use it, I at least I look forward to it. So I've been recording for almost about an hour so far, and I would continue on, but my throat is getting tired from talking for an hour again. So uh, if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to see my next videos, be sure to hit the bell for notifications. And and be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And peace out. Bye.